Things, the podcast where we are on some manifest your life.
Ooh, child.
Shift your mind.
It works.
And raise the consciousness type of shit.
We need you.
I'm Christie.
And I am Mia. And you can consider us your spiritual girlfriends for the next hour.
Hey, girl, I hope you have your glass of tea.
Hey, boo.
Your
Get
glass
your
of
wine,
coffee, a cup
your
of coffee.
tea, whatever works for you, boo. So, last week, we talked about spiritual discernment. Discernment is having the ability to judge well and make good decisions for you. So when we're talking about that spiritually, I mean, as you're kind of going through that walk, being able to discern, because there are all type of spiritual energies.
Yes.
Which energies work best for you, and not necessarily just, you don't let yourself get spiritually gangbanged out here, y'all. like, you know what I mean? You don't be a spiritual prostitute. I'm just saying.
Mia, I'm a visual person.
You saw it? Did you see it?
I saw it, and I can't unsee it, which is the problem.
I'm just saying. So you need to have some discernment, okay?
Use your wisdom, folks.
So if you guys haven't listened to it, check it out. Yeah. So tell the queens and kings what we on today.
All right, so today we are on going freestyle.
That bullshit.
We are freestyling today.
Well, a little bit.
A little bit, because, life is life. Life. And honestly, you all probably, I don't know, maybe you wouldn't know if we freestyle or not, but we are freestyling today. But we do have some topics that we do want to touch on today, and that's spiritual evolution. And what's the other one?
Having those spiritual lulls.
Yes.
Okay. So you know how it is. All right. So Christy and I today, we were thinking we were looking at a lot of our old episodes, and the fact that we have to scroll down a few times to get wow. I'm like, for real. A lot of information. A lot of content out there. But we were talking about how even with some of these topics that we've discussed, that our perspective on them has probably grown, changed, and evolved a little bit. So we started talking about let's talk about how it is that you grow and change spiritually, because you will have these moments where you're like, okay, I'm good. I got this. And then you'll hit another moment in time and a little lesson or a blessing comes your way, and it's a whole nother whoa.
Yeah.
So we want to, hit on that a little bit and just kind of hit what's going on in the world today.
Yeah, because going back to your point, as we were going through our list and just looking at topics that we've discussed in the past, as I'm reading the topics, I'm also going back to feeling how I was at that point in time. I'm like, oh, wow, I'm in a different space now.
Ooh.
Which is another reason why we're like, okay, spiritual evolution makes a lot of sense, because I was just like, where I was at that point in time, I'm in a different space. I feel like I have evolved and grown as far as, I think at that point in time I was reaching towards where I am now, but I do feel like a lot of growth has happened. So as far as spiritual evolution, where do we start? Where do you want to begin?
Okay. So let's do this.
Relationships, family.
I was about to say, wait. We're going to do. Let's set the criteria.
Okay.
So when I'm asking you, I want you to compare to what was that, July of 2020?
Yep.
And so real back, go ahead, astral project. Back to that time. You in the mind right there?
Almost. I'm at October of 2020. Hold on. All right, I'm there.
Get back there and just get that mindset and just think about there, okay? Yeah. So let's start with relationships and how it is in your spiritual journey. You change. The way that you see relationships change. And we'll start off softballing with friendships and family ships.
Okay.
Family and friendships. So when you think about where you were in July 2020, in terms of your familiar relationships and friends, and where you were in your journey at that time, give me a little comparison.
so interesting. I would say, I wouldn't say not, some has changed, but I wouldn't say a whole bunch has changed. Because I remember a particular day in July of 2020, and it was one of the craziest days of my life. It was work related, and there was nothing I could do to make things work out the way that I wanted it to work out, so I'd have a smooth day. And so
that means you had to release control.
So I honestly was just like, okay, fuck it. It is what it is. Excuse my language, but I was just like, it is what it is. And honestly, I have the same mentality now.
Okay.
But you know what? I will say now I give myself more grace to feel my emotions. Back then, it was just always like, I don't have time for that. I got this that I have to take care of. But now it's just like, oh, I need to cry.
So, okay, so with family, when you were in your journey at that time,
yeah,
were there any conversations about where you were in your journey compared to how it is that you speak about who you are and where you are now with family and friends?
Girl, she's over here with her little Oprah hat on, like, for real. I'm over here stunned. Ask that again.
So when you think about at that time when you were, because families, like, look, when you're going through the journey, you guys, people like you acting funny, they're kind of peeping you.
COVID kind of had me so that I wasn't really close. Like, I wasn't seeing my family on a regular basis back then, so it wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, I know that
Do you feel like you're more open with your family now about who you are than you were then? No. Honestly, really? Is it? Well. And that really wasn't a judgment. That just made me feel better because I'll tell you, I mean, straight up, like, I have not yet really volunteered where I am spiritually to my mom and dad. And, my mom is she is a very faithful Christian woman, and she very much so. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's, it's not like it's a bad thing. It's just that I understand, and I'm not willing to argue about it.
Right.
Now, but when she says something that will kind of make me be like, okay.
Well, when
so
she was talking about the crystals, like when I met her and she was talking about the necklace and stuff, I was like, oh, okay, so she's,
She has these moments where she'll let me know I'm a little bit more open than you think I am, and then I'll take advantage of that time and that moment, but we have not had a full talk. But back then, I wouldn't have even done that. Like, I mean, for instance, she just, my dad is recovering from or being treated for multiple myeloma, which is what Colin Powell had. So, I went in my parents' bedroom and I blessed, I charged these crystals and programmed them, and I put a green fluorite and a clear quartz under my parents' bed.
Aww.
And so I was like, Ma, don't touch it. Because, I'm like, because I know. And, I went in there, I was like, don't worry about it. And so I thought she would have been, her and my dad would have been like, man, if you would get these damn rocks from underneath my bed. Right. But they're still there. And my mom, and she's kind of like, she's appreciative of it. She asked me the other day, like, oh, you sound like, how are you feeling? Oh, no, she asked me, she said, how are you feeling? I'm like, I'm okay. She's like, oh, are your fibroids bothering you? I was like, oh, Mommy, I don't have those anymore. And she's like, what? I said, I told them I don't consent to them being in my body, and I cured myself, and I'm done. And so, and she was like, I like that. And I'm like, because, we can cure ourselves. And so later she comes back and she said, I was telling one of my girlfriends, because Mia she just makes disease leave her body. She does. And I was like,
okay.
Oh, Sharon, you listen to me. Okay. So I would not have felt comfortable even saying that much to my mom then.
Okay. So a year, like July of last year.
Yeah, July of last year. Now I'm, and this other thing, I've never felt it was necessary for me to go out and say, this is who I am, blah, 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 blah.
I'm the same. Yeah, I'm the same.
And or defend it. I'm just not going to say anything. But I do feel like at that point, it was just because I just don't want to deal with it now. Like, I just don't care. It's not like I don't care about your feelings. It's just, if you want to have this conversation with me, I'm going to be open and honest with you, just like I expect you to be open and honest with me. And if my vulnerability is scary, then before that would make me sad. But it's like, if my vulnerability about, my evolution is offensive to you, like, and motherfucker.
Tough to choose.
Tough to tell.
Yeah, I will say that. So it was last year, because I remember my sister told me that my mother was concerned about me, like, with everything that I'm doing and me working with crystals, and she had to have a conversation, and my sister said, well, Mommy, you know how she is, so if she is, you see how we chewed on my lip gloss? She said if Christie's doing anything, she's going to be on the light side. She's not going to be on the dark side. I'm like, thank you.
You're like, thanks for the backup.
But
right.
My mother, she did have some concerns. But now she asks questions, and she's like, well, tell me about crystals. And, I'd like to learn more. So she's a little bit open.
Wow.
Yeah. I was really surprised.
You guys, okay, which brings up another point, but don't let me forget, because I want to talk about romantically.
Okay.
Your spiritual evolution. But this brings up a good point. Is sometimes, sometimes we talk about, you've heard people talk about being the one to break generational curses in your family, or sometimes, you guys, it's not even it's not that difficult or deep when you are being the person who's changing the way that your family sees themselves. And sometimes it's not like you have to go in preaching to them and doing like, hey, do this, blah, blah, blah. It's just by being who you are and being honest with, this is who I am and this is why I'm here. You will be amazed to find how just your light really does turn on people's light. And even if it's just for them to get to the point where they say, you know what? Let me think about that. Where they're asking questions of themselves. Like, it's not, sometimes breaking generational curses doesn't mean you going in with the hammer.
Right.
Sometimes there's some subtlety to that,
I agree. And I will say that my family, they have seen the change that I've made. And I do think that they are kind of watching me like, okay, she's on something's going on. There's some changes and some shifting happening, some growth, some evolving. I don't know what it is, but I'm just going to watch. Like, I really feel like that's where they are.
And you know what? That's a good thing.
It is. I agree.
And sometimes I don't need to say anything, because one of my favorite things to say is, I can show you better than I can tell you. So, you're concerned, just sit back and watch. Just enjoy the show. This is a ride. That's what you want to do.
Yep.
So that's,
I agree.
Because sometimes I would say it's frustrating feeling like, I don't like feeling like somebody wants me to defend who I am.
Oh, yes.
So I'm like, that's offensive as hell
and then
to me.
I get really get offended. I
I
start to feel offended, and I start to have an attitude.
So if it's better, if you can't, if that's what you're going to put out there, just sit back and watch. I'm okay with that. Watch closely, because I can show you better than I can tell you.
Yeah.
You start asking me stuff and that patronizing, condescending, and, well, why do you feel like who, child? I'm like, and my 0 to 100 is ugly. I mean, I'm working on that, but I feel like spiritually,
we are all a work in progress.
We are. I think because I am who I am spiritually, when I decide, because I fully accept the duality of who I am.
Yeah.
I know the polarity of who I am. I know I can go as high as the highest heights and lowest
I can
lows.
too, but it has to be like someone that I care about, like, to be involved. Then I'll become a pit bull.
But my point is, like, because some people think, like, when you're spiritual, that means, like, I'm always like,
you gotta be nice.
And nothing, you know what I mean? It's just, you know what I mean? Like, that anger is something that you cut off. Understand, we are full beings.
Yeah.
It's just, the difference is, and you'll understand I can be happy, angry, sad, mad, whatever those things are, excited, joyful, and that doesn't take away from something else. The difference is understanding how you can control that within yourself and not necessarily, you know what I mean? And when you're in those lower vibrational moments, it's an acknowledgement of, I am in a lower vibrational moment. I need to be, tread lightly, and I'm not and you're not staying there for a long time. It's like, oh, hell, I called Christy today crying. Y'all, I'm trying to launch this.
Not trying, she's doing.
I'm doing, but I'm doing something new. But it's an acknowledgement. Like, I'm in a place right now. I'm in a place.
So I will admit, so since last year, July of 2020, I think I have gotten better at vocalizing stuff, because before I would just hold stuff in and I would just brush it under the rug, like, okay, that didn't happen. Like that meme with the dog sitting in the room that's on fire. Everything's fine. I'm fine. But everything around him is on fire. And I would be that person, and now I check with myself. Like, remember I told you the situation with my daughter and the whole thing, and how I was feeling, and I kept feeling a certain way, and I said, okay, I need to
address this.
I need to address it, because I'm feeling something and it doesn't feel good, and I just want to express how I feel. So I called my family and shared my feelings. And even, with my child, like, I feel like I have evolved in such a way where I realize that she too is a sovereign being, and so when she is
I need to write this down, because we're gonna hit on that too.
Because she was expressing some things, because I was getting on her about some things, and she was kind of giving me a little bit of pushback. And at first I'm thinking, well, no, I'm the mother, but then I'm like, well, why would I even? She is her own little human. She is her own, and her universe is big. She's starting to build her own universe and create as her own mini creator. And so I'm thinking, okay, let me hear her out and let me give her an opportunity to express how she's feeling, because her feelings are valid too. Yes. And I don't think I was in that space a year ago. It's just like, do as I say, because I'm telling you.
I see what you're saying.
But now I'm like, okay, do as I say. Oh, well, you don't agree with what I'm saying? Okay, well, let's sit down and talk so we can have middle ground. Because at some point, we... And
also, but and to be fair, and I'm not trying to call you out here, but, like, literally your child is gifted as hell. And she, you know what I mean? Like, and she's, Kai's 17. She's 17. 17. So, and she's gifted, and she's definitely, in the time that I've known her, I can definitely see she's coming into... She's understanding more who she is, and I say this all the time to my daughter, like, as I grow as a person, so do you, and so does our relationship. Right. It's going to evolve, and so do
our other relationships,
and
too.
so will our other relationships.
Yes.
So I explained this to her. So with Kai, it's like, you're evolving. Like you said, it's just like, before it might have been this one I'm saying. Now you're just like, wait a minute, hold on. Look, as a mother, it's my duty and responsibility to provide this, and this. I'm going to give you the advice to do this, and this. Yeah. If you tell me this is what you want, because I've lived a little bit longer than you have, I can tell you, if you want to go that way, this is the road you have to take. You need to do this. But also, you have a different understanding now, but I'm not going to force you to do it, because this is what you said you want. That's a different place.
Yeah.
Because, mommies out here, we feel like we got to be like, okay, well, if they're not going to do it, I'll sign them up for their this. I'll do this.
I need to force them to do this. And I was telling Mia, and I was telling some other people, I am at a place in my life where I do not want to force. I don't like the feeling. Nope. I don't like, so I'm just like, I will bow down. I will take my foot off the gas, and I will allow you to be. And I also feel like that has allowed me to be less stressful. So in the last year, I'm definitely in a place of more bliss, because it's a combination of I have no more fucks to give. And it's a combination of I don't give a fuck. And it's a combination of I really don't want to feel the energy of being stressed for no reason.
Especially when we're putting it on ourselves.
Right.
That is literally something that you're like, I'm choosing
to.
And
that's like, no, I don't want it.
I don't have to.
No. you know?
Because there's some,
and,
ooh, child.
like, remember where I was telling you, okay, going back to family. So I guess some stuff has happened family-wise. But remember when I told you my son didn't register for school, and then he accidentally mentioned it to my parents, and then my parents were stressing about it, and then my father texted me, I need to talk to you. I'm like, shit, okay. So then I text my son, what did you tell him? He said, oh, well, you know, we were talking about school, and I was talking about I haven't registered yet. Okay, great, thanks, bet. Now I know how to prepare for this conversation.
Right.
Called my father, and he's all stressing out. Well, what are we going to do? He's already in London. He's not even registered for class. Is he going to have to come back? Oh, he's going to have to come back from school because he's not registered. Oh, we're going to have to figure out blah, blah, blah. And I said, you know what? I'm not about to stress myself over this. And the very next day, everything was sorted out. Everything was settled. And I'm just like, that's wasted energy. And I want to conserve my energy.
Because, you know, you would have allowed yourself to, like, go where he's going.
Right.
Now you're all hype. And it's like, and I've had this conversation with my son 400 times. Reminded him, like, went over the top. Now, am I supposed to go in there and register for him? It's time for him to learn. Especially when I'm giving you money for it. All you have to do is register? Boy, bye.
Yeah, and I mean, and he learned a lesson too. And
Exactly.
of course, it is in our mistakes.
And we have to let our children learn. Thank you.
But it's also for you too, learning something new and allowing yourself to make mistakes.
Yeah, you're right. I don't want to make none.
Because it is in our making mistakes that we learn. Like I feel like that is where the magic is. That's where the growth happens. But I bet you we won't make that mistake again.
I bet you he won't because he was stressed out.
Yeah.
But and knowing it's of your own doing. But he learned a lesson.
Yeah.
Facts.
Same thing with with Kai. I'm just like, she's going to have to learn. And like with this college stuff, I'm like, I'm not about to stress out, but whatever.
And now, you know, also, you guys, this is not regular college applications. Kai wants everything she's talking about is Ivy League.
Yeah.
And, you know, as a mom, my mom looking at my girl, I'm like, baby, I don't give a fuck what nobody say. You show and prove what type of mother you are. You got a kid in London and one to girl, bye. And we need to just stop. We sometimes we hold ourselves to impossible standards that are not of our own.
Yeah.
We don't want our family, our friends, our loved ones to look at us a certain way, or what we perceive that they're going to look at us a certain way. Exactly. And we will make decisions about our life and stressing ourselves out. And when I say stressing ourselves out, I literally mean ourselves
stressing ourselves out. So I was telling this woman last night, I said, you know, it's really interesting how we adopt this mentality. You know, people will build us a box. Okay, here's a box for you. You stand in it and you make it fit. Well, what if you're supposed to be outside the box? But, you know, I feel like I'm in a position where I've finally decided to burn that bitch down.
What
because
box?
I got tired of trying to fit. And I always felt like I never really fit.
You never fit in anything that somebody built for you.
Right.
You got to build it for yourself.
Exactly.
I don't want to put the label that you created for me on. I have my own. But as we evolve, you know, we evolve.
Yeah.
So back to evolving, how your spiritual evolution has affected your relationships. Let's talk about that romantically.
How has it affected my relationships?
So let's go back to July 2020 though.
Yeah.
I remember, let's see, in terms of, and I'm talking about you, just your spirituality and how it is that you see relationships based on how you've grown and how it is that you treat your relationship. You know, because, you know, the relationship itself is going to evolve. You guys are like in a totally different place. Yeah. But has anything changed about how the way you look at your relationship, how you act in your relationship, how you present, or even what you want out of your relationship now as opposed to July 2020?
Yeah. Well, I would say the one thing that hasn't changed since July 2020 is that at this point in my time, at this point in life, I just want peace.
Facts.
I just want peace. Like, I mean, that's like, I don't want to go back and forth. I just want peace. That has not changed. But as far as me, I will say that I've come to... Oh, okay, that's good. All right. So, July 2020, I remember, like, I was just, like, I had to be with this person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we had to be in the same space. It has to be like this.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm just like, oh, well, let's take our time. Like, why are we rushing?
Uh-huh.
We don't need to rush into anything. And actually, I like my space. We just talked about it yesterday. I was like, I like having my own space. I like when you have your own space. I like that we can see each other when we want to be in each other's
Anytime
space.
we want to. Absolutely.
So that has changed, because before I was like, oh, we're going to be together and blah, 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 like all the time. But now I'm just like, I actually really like having my own space.
Do you think, question, do you think that is because you have just the maturation of your relationship, or you think that's because you've changed?
Because I've changed.
Okay.
Yeah, because now I no longer look at this person makes me happy. Like, I make my own self happy. So I no longer look to people to, like, fill this void for me. Like, if I have a void, then I need to look to fill that myself, or figure out why I have the void to begin with.
Yes.
And that has changed.
That's actual facts.
That has changed. So how has relationships changed for you?
Well, you know, I was still very much, I'm single, and I think that I thought that I was ready.
Or perspective on relationships, I should say.
Right, yeah. So I thought that I was ready for a relationship, but in the way that I looked at relationships before, right?
Okay.
But I wasn't seeking, as you well know. It's just like, I'm ready.
She wasn't.
But I thought that I was ready. And then I did have this moment. I think we talked about this in one of the episodes where I was like, wait a minute, bitch, you lying? because I wasn't ready for the type of relationship that I thought that I wanted back then from a form, and the way I view relationships has evolved. So and again, you guys, this is just where I am today. And facts, it could change tomorrow. But I tell you what I feel for certain right now is that a traditional relationship will not work for me. And by traditional, I mean because people take that all type of ways.
Oh, that's a strip.
Right, okay. I'm talking about I don't know if I would ever be able to live with somebody 24/7, like full time. Like,
yeah, we talked about that.
Yes, but I mean, like, I don't know that I could do that. And it's not, that doesn't mean because I want to be with somebody else or I'm trying to be slick or anything like that. It's just, I just don't know that that's something that I would be able to do. That's what I mean when I say traditional. And the other thing is, keeping it 100, I'm just going to say it. I don't necessarily need a title. So I agree. Okay. I do not. If I'm with somebody and I love them, and I'm at a place where I can be honest with myself and say, do you love who they are today, or do you love who you think they will be when they, you know what I mean? Because we will. Let me tell you, I am the queen of dating some projects. Okay. I'm always like, oh, this what you gonna be. What I've learned, and if I fall in love with someone, right, and I have this connection with someone on a whole nother level, and they are who they are, I'm at a place where I'm okay with, because I love you right now. I'm not loving you because I want you to be this. So when I say, like, I don't know that exclusivity for me is a big deal. It's more about, I'm more about whatever our connection is, and I fell in love with you. Be who you are. I don't want to change you. I didn't fall in love with you because you were perfect. Like, as a matter of fact, I like, real talk. If I meet somebody you don't have no war wounds, dude, I can't. Like, what you talking about?
Honestly, and I've said that too. Like, I love him with his flaws. Like,
that's and that's different for me. That's different.
I can see that. Yeah.
And I'm. It's not like I'm like, oh, I'm not polyamorous. I see value in a one-to-one relationship. I see value in a partnership with a single person. So it's not like I'm saying, it's not like that type of movement for me right now. It's more of if I love you, I'm okay with who you are today. Mm-hmm. And and I want that same type of thing. Yeah. So people are in a lot of different places and spaces, in their life. And I think I'm more about energetically, because what if I'm in love with two people, and one person for me, we have an energetic connection on all things spiritual, and you know what I mean, and I love him, and then I fall in love with somebody else who, and this 3D time is a connection for me that I need, and we learn from each other, and we grow, and we're each other's business partners, you know what I mean? So I no longer feel like I have to choose if that's something that would happen. Like, real fast, I'm like, I feel, and I would be willing to be honest and say, look, I'm in love with this person, I'm in love with this person. I don't, and I'm not going to force myself to choose. But I'm going to be honest and say, and be willing to, I might lose both. If that were something, you know what I mean? Like, mm-hmm. I would have never even thought that my mind would be at a place like this. Now, that's not what I'm calling into my life. Do that. You're right. Because you know what I mean? That's not what I'm calling into my life, but I'm saying I'm honest. Yeah. I'm more truthful with how I feel. And I also know, this is the other thing, I know, I am very aware of I have a Libra rising, y'all. I'm a flirt. What are you trying to say about us Libras? Y'all know how y'all are. Y'all know how y'all are. I do. So flirt. I know, I'm very conscious of the fact that how I can come off in the moment. Like, mm-hmm. somebody would think that and it's just, I'm being, you know what I mean? So I'm conscious of that, because I don't want to drag somebody along or make them feel something or see something that's not there. So I try to be conscious of that, because sometimes I'm just talking shit. Like,
so going off of what you were saying, as far as like being, you can be in love with multiple people. Yeah. You're more open to that. Yeah, that's what you were saying. Yeah. So I will say that maybe back around that time, like last year, mm-hmm. I was open to that. Like, I could have multiple partners if everyone signed on and if everyone approved and it was discussed out in the open. But now I've gotten to a point, again, because I want no stress. Right. Mm-hmm. Not to say that things are going to be perfect, but who I'm with now, like, we just vibe very well together. There's no. And I'm okay. I'm okay. Yeah. I'm good with just being with him, and I'm okay with. And I don't like titles either. And I was there's another thing that's changed. A year ago, I was very against getting married again. That would be number 3. But for him, that might be something that is important, which I think it is. But I always
definitely were against it, and I'm not.
But I told him, I said, if I were to marry anyone, it would be you. Like, third time's a charm.
I get that.
He would be the one. I kind
of feel like you guys were been married anyway before. But you got. Well, I already know that you got. In a different time span. But yeah, I can see that. That makes sense. I mean. You know what I mean? Like that, I get that.
So I've grown in that way, because before I was just like, hell no, like why? Like, why do we need to? But then I'm also, I guess this also goes with what's changed in a year, is evolving in the fact that when you are in a relationship with someone, it's not all about you. And that's also why we talked about the collective group, and we talk about when I change, other people change. It's not about us, it's about it's about the collective, it's about the group. And so when I initially was just like, well, I don't want this, but then I was starting to like listen to him, and I really think that marriage is something that he believes in.
Yeah, I could tell. Yeah,
and
yes, I mean, no, yes, like no. I'm not even gonna go there. Yes. Like, very much so. No, yes.
But he's the only person. Beautiful. Yeah, he's the only. And I told him, I said, to be honest, like. And when I go through my relationships, I feel like he was the person I should have been with anyway, but it's fine.
Right, that's why I'm like, no, yeah.
But it's fine. Yeah. But I told him, I said, he would be the only person that I would ever consider marrying.
Wait, I'm gonna add I want to add a caveat to my being open to having. Wait, y'all gonna laugh at this, but I want to be the only one. Ain't that some ignorant shit?
Not ignorant. You want what you want.
But I'm just because
you want what you
I
want.
I want to be able to control the schedule. But if that was something that I was gonna do, if that was something I was gonna, like I said, I'm not necessarily calling. I'm just saying I would be open to different a relationship looking a different way. You know what I mean? Like facts.
I thought about that too. There was this one movie, I cannot remember the name of it, but it was a woman. She wasn't on 90210. She was on one of those shows. I forgot. But she had two partners. One was like very free-spirited, and another one was kind of very structured. Ooh. And they were like running a scam or something. I can't remember. They stole money. But when I saw their relationship, I was like, I could definitely do that. I could definitely. Because sometimes you just want to be thrown up against the wall. And then other times you just want like a romantic getaway and, to be cuddled and, and each partner fulfilled a certain, need.
And I do think, honestly, it's unfair for us. And it's like a little bit of self-betrayal when we don't allow ourselves to be honest with who we are and where we are in our life and what we desire. Now, I do understand, and I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, but we just need to be fully aware of what we do when we compromise our desire for somebody else. Yeah. Just be like, okay, I'm in full knowledge. I am deciding that I want, I'm no longer going to accept that this is a desire of mine because I want to be with this person, and just be fully aware. Mm-hmm. Just be honest with yourself, because what happens when we don't is inevitably when it comes back up, and we feel we start to get resentment for that person in that situation. I'm like, that's why I say we have to be fully be honest with yourself about the choice that you're making, because Because let me tell you, the first things that come out your mouth when this happens, I gave up this for you. And at the end of the day, nobody can make you do that. You made the decision that you wanted this relationship. And in order for this relationship to happen, you were willing to give up that. And then when it doesn't go the way as planned, we blame them. That's not their fault. You made that decision.
Yeah. So that's all true, all facts, and I've been there. And I will say that I've gotten more, and that's another thing that's changed too. Like I've become very conscious of like, okay, how am I upset at this person when he wasn't ready to make the decision I wanted him to make? Mm-hmm. Like, how dare I? I'm a lot more open and like conscious about that. So what's changed for you spiritually?
Okay. Well, I'll say let's talk about. Well, no, let's hit on one of the reasons most people start their spiritual journey is because they're trying to find purpose in their life. Yes. Now, when I say, and we've talked about this before, how this journey, it is a journey. It's not a destination. It isn't a race. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and sometimes we think we're in a race. Facts. I just said this today too. Woo, child, I'm getting spiritually spanked today.
This is the life that never ends.
Right? So, journey. Spiritually, the way that I see what it means to know your purpose, and, I just want to know what I'm here for, the way I view that has changed.
Yes, facts.
Like,
since last year, yes.
I mean, tremendously.
Like, I'd say, like, in the last 3 months.
Right, no, I mean.
last 2 months.
Like, seriously, I
agree.
Tremendously. So I would say, ooh.
When did we have that spiritual retreat? The last one at the house?
Okay, give me a second.
Was it Indiana?
July.
So I really feel like things have changed since then.
Since then?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I feel like things have changed.
Like, I almost feel like that's when it started. Like,
okay, so let's go back. I'll start. I would say that I understood that it was a journey, but I had this. My thinking was that Oof. Girl, I can't. Okay, look, I'm like,
Yeah, you
because this is
can.
real. Because I'm like, I thought that there was a discovery of what that purpose was, and then you kind of, kind of rejigger your life to live your purpose. So, you're like, I find my passion. This is my purpose, and I do feel part of my purpose is. I say this. I know that some of my purpose is to be. I'm an awakener, and I know that I'm a healer. But see, so the difference of what I see now, that what I didn't understand before, was that it's not discovering your purpose. It's under being your purpose, and also understanding that no matter where I was in my life, I was always being my purpose. So it's like I had this thing where it's just like, we all have this, like, when we start to ask, what am I here for?
Right.
Like, why am I here? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? And we try to attach that to, so now I know what to do for a living. And so now where I am spiritually, I understand, even if you are not aware or conscious, you are serving your purpose.
Yes.
Because sometimes, we talk about main character energy.
Finding your purpose is
Right.
part of your purpose.
Find, you know what I mean? Like, and like, just so as I am, going through, say you're going through a bad relationship, and you're like, why is this happening to me? And I'm not supposed to be doing this, and blah, blah, blah. That's literally a part of your purpose. You are living your purpose, because after you go through this, what do you learn? Compassion, grace for yourself, understanding, and then that continues to snowball and grow. Like, your purpose is something that you're always living and being. Yes. Whether or not you are aware of it, as opposed to a discovery of this one thing.
Yeah. It's not like finding a treasure.
Even if you get to something like, okay, I know this is what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life, that's you getting to that point is part of your purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's so that has changed for me tremendously. And I feel like we don't even have the language or the vocabulary to really convey, like, people who are at this point will be like, I know exactly what she's talking about. And for someone who's still saying, like, I need to discover who I am.
Yeah.
And that's a real question, but that's not necessarily you know what I mean? Like, we're always discovering who I am. Just like you said, that since that last, like, July of this year, it's like, I'm different from now. I got since October 17th.
Oh yeah.
I'm different. So we're always discovering who we are. It's just we get to a point where you have this awareness that this is what I'm doing.
Yes.
As opposed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've walked through that door, and it's just, and it's beautiful to me, though.
I will say, since last year too, right now I am being more guided by my intuition. Whereas before, I'm like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? I don't know. Someone tell me. But now it's just like, okay, what feels right? Like, what is my heart telling me?
What feels right?
And that's something that has been new, like, in the last 2-3 months.
So, I always, you know what's so funny about that to me is, Christy, when you think about advice that we grew up with from our family, it's always like, what makes sense, right? Not what feels good. We weren't brought up, or this society wasn't, back when we were growing up in our formative years, it wasn't about what feels right.
Yeah, it wasn't.
You know what I mean? It was more about
you
what's
do what you're
right,
told, or what,
and you do what you're told, and you do. You know what I mean? So we have a whole new generation of people who are able to, and this is the amazing thing about it, who are able to move around with what feels right, as opposed to I have to do A or I have to do B.
Yeah.
It's like, what feels good for me in this time in my space. And what's happening is, that's why you have the mass walkout. All these people are leaving their jobs because it no longer feels right. I don't want to be this person just to make a living. and I know I don't necessarily know the road or what's going to happen, but I feel that I'm going to be okay, and I feel like I can figure this out. And that's because this is a whole new generation in our society, and this is a whole new time, in our society where we are allowing ourselves to feel. And that's what happens when you enter the age of Aquarius. You know, the age of Capricorn is very much so, to think about, that's where capitalism was made. Like, all these things, like, you know, that it's a different type of feel. And the age of Aquarius is curiosity. So many people are waking up, they just start asking more questions. Like, well, I mean, why do I have to go to a job? Like, can't I do this? And you know what I mean? Like, we're starting to question who we are and stretch our boundaries. So, I don't know. Just, I think, and again, as within, without, as you just think about how you are as an individual growing and evolving and how you're seeing yourself. And you probably know so many people, even if they're not in the same space that you are, who are just having some questions about it's a lot more. It's everywhere, and every type of person, every race and age. Like, I mean, seriously.
And everyone is in different phases of their journey, which is really interesting. And it's almost like no one really knows who to discuss this with. Like, who else?
But everybody's going through it.
Right.
It's like, you know what I mean? It's like the dirty little secret.
Right.
But everybody's going through this. And we look at the system as binding now.
Yeah.
Not that it's bad. It's just that I got up a little bit. I stretched out. I didn't and this system, I want to stretch all the way out. I'm not saying anything about what you got going on, but I need to go over here and stretch out just to see what I can be. And that's when more people are tapping into their divine energy, because that's literally like, that is the ultimate definition of I am. Just let me see what I'm going to be. Yeah. So then you get to finish that sentence. I am this. And this, and this, and this, and slash, and plus, divided by, multiplied by. And more people are understanding that that's what they have the ability to do.
Yeah.
So, and I say that, so for me, that's a big evolution point for me. Okay, we'll do one more. What do you think about,
we're at 48 minutes.
Oh, that wasn't too bad.
47:33.
33. Dang. Okay. Wait, because there's two of them I want to do, so I'm trying to pick. Just give me a second. Hold on.
Well, why not do the both? Why not do both, and maybe we can do spiritual lulls another time.
Okay. Cool. All right. Fine.
Sorry. We'll do spiritual lulls another time.
So, shadow work.
Ooh. Man, when I tell you, okay, well, I'm sorry. You go first. You go first. Come on. Okay. So a year ago, shadow work was just like, but now I will say, okay, let's do it.
Yes.
Like, there's more of this is just what I gotta do.
Like, I honestly, I kind of get excited about it
because
now.
You know what's on the other side.
Yes,
of it.
I'm like, ooh, upgrade season, upgrade season,
new Wi-Fi, stronger Wi-Fi, stronger connection.
I kind of get that's different. Yeah, I mean, I get excited. Yeah, facts.
And I remember, like, before, when I would be meditating and something would surface as I'm meditating, I'm just like, oh, I thought I was done. But now it's just like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think I don't know if I was there last year. I do remember I got to a point where I was just like, okay, yeah, like, let's do it instead of running from it. But I mean, like, it's straight up excitement, because I have no fear of it anymore. Yeah. I know it's for my highest good, and I realize everything is temporary.
It's a season.
It's a season.
It's a phase. Like,
it's a phase. It's a moment, and
it's not forever. But I think now that I know what's on the other side of
Yeah.
When you do shadow work, I'm like, all right, let's do it because I'm ready. Like and I know my people got me. My people always have me.
That part.
And that is another thing too. Like within the last year, they have shown me.
I got you, boo.
Man,
girl, you know, look, I'm like, I lean on my team.
Mia and her guys.
Look, I'm like, look, y'all.
This woman can walk out the window and they will be like placing a sidewalk or, something for her to walk on underneath her feet.
I'm like, they have me. But that trust, it deepens.
Yeah,
that trust.
I agree.
And if you really think about it, what it is, that is just evolution and more into your self-mastery of knowing who you are. Because that's knowledge, that's just more knowledge of self and having faith and who you are and trusting your process.
Like, that's another thing too. Like,
trust the process.
A year ago, working with clients, I would be like I would be thinking, I don't know, is this, should I? But now I'm just bing, bang, boom. This is what it is.
Bang, bang, bing, bing.
And yesterday was the first time I had a session like that. When I talked to you yesterday, I was just like, I don't know, something about that. But since last year, I'd say that I am definitely more confident in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because I trust myself more.
Exactly. And also, sometimes I remember feeling like as I was discovering more of who I am, I would ask the question, why me? But in a good way, like, man, why do I... what makes me have this or something like that. But now I have a deeper understanding that it's not a why me, it's everybody. You know what I mean? Like, not that, you know what I mean? Not that I'm not saying that I'm not special. Everybody has something. I am unique and special in the manifestation that I am. But being able to connect with the divinity of who you are is something that is available to everybody. And so I have a deeper understanding of that. Like, we all have this, and we're all deserving of walking that journey. We're worth it,
I agree. Definitely agree.
We will say,
I was going to say something about what you just said, but then I just forgot. Oh, so we talked about the confidence. So I am definitely more confident in myself, and I guess that's also because I've learned to trust myself over the years, which I said. And then the fear, like so we talked about starting the business and all of that stuff, and the fear that comes behind it. One of the things that actually helped me is to realize that it's not about me; it's about the collective. Of course it's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging, but I told myself to find the enjoyment in this process. Because ultimately this isn't just for me. And that's what helped me to push past my fears. Because there was a woman who listens to our episode, shout out to Katie. But she reached out to me and she asked, like, how did you put yourself out there? And I've never been asked that question, so of course I had to think about it a little bit. But I told her, I said, honestly, for me, the one thing that helped to drive me overcoming the fear was understanding and knowing that there are people that are waiting or who need it. So,
honestly, I will say, I didn't know that it was, that's delicious. I didn't know
Sauvignon Blanc.
that it would be so difficult for me to put myself out there in this space.
I don't think we ever do.
I didn't know it was going to be so, but I mean, you understand, like, you're a dancer, so it's like, I didn't think that was going to be like, but I would tell you, by far and away, that is one of my biggest stumbling blocks, far and away.
Yes.
Like, legitimately, that's something that I'm still working through. It's like, I'm okay with me, but this fear of judgment, right? So then now what I do is when that feeling comes up, I'm like, But what does that mean? Like, why do you have this fear of judgment? At the end of the day, what is the worst thing that's going to happen? Like, what are you holding on to? What is this coming from? You know what I mean? But that's something, honestly, you guys, that I'm still working through. Just, I feel like I've been, kind of tiptoeing. It's like I stuck a toe in, then a foot, and now I'm just like, I feel like every room I'm walking into, instead of walking into confidently like blast, I'm like, hey guys, I'm not going to shy away, but I'm not necessarily going to be like, and
that's me. I'm the same.
And I'm working, and I know that for me to fully be okay with me and really be able to walk in my Mia-ness, I need to be comfortable being both. You know what I mean? Because there's something to not feeling comfortable. Being the fear of judgment, there's something to that. That's coming from something. That's stemming from something. You know what I mean? Because it's like you get to a certain period, there's so many things I just don't care. Right? But it's different if somebody comes to you and says, I'm judging you and blah, 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 blah. It's just like, and I do not care.
We do not care.
Right. But when you are creating something for the collective and putting it, I'm an artist, and putting it out there, that you give a fuck.
Because it's you. Like, it's
right. You feel like it's like somebody saying, oh, that's an ugly ass baby. Be like, bitch, I kill you.
I'm gonna stab you. No, I mean,
so that's something I'm still working through. Just,
me too.
because I know that, and I mean, like I said, I know better. I understand. I can see it from the outside looking in, but in this situation, I'm on the inside trying to look out, and that's a stumbling block for me.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think would be something that would be a thing. Like
I'm like,
I never thought that
surfaced.
It's surfaced. It has surfaced.
I mean, honestly, it was and this is funny because this goes back to me in my sorority. Like, I've always been very comfortable being in the background. I can work. Mm-hmm. Like, my line sister she calls me honeybee, but I have like the worker bee mentality, and so I'm fine. I can be a worker bee all day, all night, behind the scenes, but going out in front, it brings up a lot of anxiety for me. A lot. And in the past year, we're in the same, like, I feel like we are in very similar places.
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah.
It is a thing.
And it's scary.
All right, so what is
the last one that I wanted to do?
Yeah, what is the last one?
I want to talk about sex.
Let's
talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me.
Let's talk about all the good things and guys, I can talk about this all day, every day, all night.
So,
what would you like to know?
Is this thing on? Okay.
Hi, Big Daddy.
I would say, no, here's my question. As you have evolved spiritually, how has that changed your sex life? How you view sex? Like, what, let's just get... Yeah, I wish I could see the smile on her face.
I'm blushing.
This heifer is blushing. Breathe. I'm waiting. Chrissy, wait. Stop it. Why are you making me blush?
Because it is. It is. It is at a completely different level. A year ago. As we both excel. It is. I mean, and I kind of hope that he's not listening to this because I might share something that might disturb him a little bit. But So sex for me, and maybe I shared this before. I really don't remember what I said because I might have been high and I might have been drinking. But for me, sex is sacred. Like, it's sacred. It is a sacred act. And it is a way for me to connect with spirit. It is a way for me to manifest. Like, and now, like, I approach it in a different way.
Come on now.
Because it's just like,
yes, ma'am.
It has reached an all, like...
You better speak on it.
Like, now now our sex is, for me, is like, it is intentional.
Ooh.
Before, it would just be like, okay, let's do it. But now it's intentional. And I also allow myself... this is something I've been working on, but I've been allowing myself to be more free and open. To allow certain energies to come through.
Ooh.
Like different goddesses.
Yeah, I feel like I'm
I'm for real.
I feel like I'm catching it, walking down. I'm like, when I say she is preaching the absolute.
Like, and there are times like where we are having sex, and I just allow myself to be intimate, and I call in like the angels. I call in certain goddesses. Of course, I got to make sure I'm protecting myself. But when I do that,
it is literally like it. I've never taken acid before, but I feel like from what I've heard, it's like you're on an acid trip. It's like you're like.
It's a journey.
It's a rhythm that just like
yes.
like I don't even like, you know how like you're having sex and you're like you consciously know that this is what you're doing, right? And you are doing your thing. It's like you're doing that without even like it's almost like when you click back in, you're like, oh wait, and this whole time you've been just kind of child.
Oh my goodness, the last time
child.
The last time we had sex, like afterwards we were like, well, especially him, he was like, what the hell was that?
Yes, Lord. And
I will say that has changed. Like that has the
evolved.
Connection. It has evolved.
That has ascended.
It has ascended, exactly. It has definitely gotten deeper. And I also use, especially when we or when I have an orgasm, I will use that as a time to manifest. Like, what is it that I envision for my life? What do I want for my life?
Yes,
because
absolutely.
I was told that energy is really useful when you want to manifest.
Sex magic.
Yes,
absolutely.
Sex magic. So that has changed.
Is that right there? Is that right there, Tom?
That has changed. So we need to hurry up and like get this meeting over with so I can.
Okay, right. And on that note. Okay. So, you want to do message for the day?
Yes. What is today's message?
Wait, no. First of all, what's your takeaway for today?
Oh, takeaway. We're constantly evolving. We are constantly evolving. We are constantly shifting. And I think, especially if you are in partnership with someone, I think it's very important for you to acknowledge and meet people where they are and not expect them to be where you expect them to be. Because we're all on different paths. We're all on different journeys. Our projections are at different times. That's my takeaway. I mean, this is all an evolution. We are constantly evolving. I'm not the same person I was a month ago. What's your takeaway?
I think it is to allow yourself to be where you are, because we can really move through this life every day looking to what's next, because we're ambitious and we have goals, and there are things that we aspire to. You can still have aspirations, but be in the moment of where you are, because once you understand how temporary that moment is, and it can be a beautiful moment or a learning moment or a very simple moment of quiet. Allowing yourself to be in each of those moments, I think is allows you to be aware of the evolution as it's happening. You know what I mean? Because you're not glossing over life every day. So if you're in the each moment, when you look back, it's like you have something to put your teeth into. It's like I remember what that moment tastes like, and you can see where you are right now, and being aware of where you are. I mean, like, just it's almost like you have a drone, you get up and you're just looking around to see, you know what I mean, like that and feel it at the same time. You see the whole thing, and it's being grateful for your growth is beautiful, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be my takeaway.
I agree. Like being able to look back at yourself and seeing how much you've grown is huge. Like,
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be doing some of this stuff I'm doing now. Never! Never!
Never say never, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I did for our message, I did a card pull while we were kind of sitting here talking. And give me 3 seconds to look at them, you guys. Wow, okay, this is good. I love this. Yep. Ooh, this is good. Okay. Wow, I need to take a picture of this and post this. Okay, you guys. So message for the collective. The first thing that comes up is having faith in the process, right? Trusting in yourself. And we literally just talked about being where you are in the moment and understanding that it's temporary, because you know you can create what's next. So having faith in that process. But in order to do that, we have to allow ourselves to be tender with ourselves. Connect to the innocence of that inner child. Because those are the places and times in our lives where we felt like we could do anything. We believed we were Superman. We believed we were Wonder Woman. Yep. We believed, like, people would think about when you're a little kid, somebody asks you, what do you want to be when you grow up? The things that you say, you don't have a limit in your brain. Like, I think Jay at one point told me she wanted to be water.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, that's
I want
to think about you know what I mean? Like the mind, the innocence and connection to I can be anything you have to be in that time. So I have faith in the process and connect to that place in you that can create anything. So as we're talking about manifestation, I kept hearing, this is interesting, like, stay in the waves, stay in the spirals, stay out of the angular places, right? So I'm going to speak about what that means energetically. As you're moving through this life, you guys, when you walk into some place and it feels it feels what's the word I'm looking for? It feels like somebody played a wrong chord on a piano, and it on a violin, on the strings. Like, ooh, yeah. Like, you know what I mean? It feels like that. It's it gives you that type of energy. Trust yourself to be able to walk out of that, right? Because what that does is take away from our energy, because now we have to put so much towards trying to soothe that over, when we can save ourselves from that and just leave that space. So they're saying, go where it feels good, go where you feel creative, and go where you feel like it's best for you to be who you are. And I feel like a lot of people are going to be traveling, doing a more spiritual type of travel, not the not your typical like girls trip or romantic getaways. Like, a lot of people are being asked to and will can do these spiritual journeys on their own. It's like I feel like I need to go someplace. So I'm hearing, if that's how you're feeling, I'm hearing go to the mountains. Take me. Okay. And the last thing is, guys, knowing that you'll survive this. You'll survive this time and the next time and the next time. The world is evolving just as you are. So some of the evolution that is happening outside of us hurts us. You know, change hurts, adjustment hurts, but understand that we are adaptable beings, that we evolve. That's why we're still here, solely because of our ability to evolve in certain situations. So you need to trust that process. When you believe that you can't, then you won't. New solutions are coming to you about what it is that you need to manifest and understand more of who you are in this time. And that's just evolving to that trusting what's inside of you. Literally, nobody can do you better than you. Nobody knows you better than you. You created who you are. Literally, where you are right this moment in time is a creation of who you wanted yourself to be. So now that you're aware of the fact that you can create. But it comes from within. So just trust that feeling, trust that knowing, trust that energy. All right, and so it is.
That's good. The trusting part, that was a struggle for me.
Cause sometimes you think, am I making this up? Am I imagining this?
Right.
Ooh.
Or I'd be like, Mia, can you check this for me real quick? Can you ask your people?
I mean, it's just, it's because people, you know, they'll ask like, how do you know? And so we've been trained the way exercise, we have this burden of proof that we expect everybody. Prove to me that you're right. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So we're used to something we can point to, like we need something tangible. Like I can point to it in this book, right? But if we start going, if that's how we always thought, point to me how you can prove it, we wouldn't have books right now. Because there was a time when we trusted and knew that, like, this person, you know, because we understood people who were connected to spirit, and there was no measure of how do you know what I mean? Who are you to say something is wrong or right? We would have never advanced. Yeah. But that's connected to somebody. Somebody said something at some point, and that's why it's in this book. That's why it's a topic. And before that, somebody said something to somebody else, but they believe that person. Mm-hmm. So you have to trust yourself without, and understand, I don't have to prove anything.
Say that.
You know, and who am I proving it to? But when we feel like, you know, when we're putting ourselves under that, like, I have to I have to prove it. Like, who?
I feel that sometimes. Definitely feel that. So. All right, that was good. Well, thank you guys for listening to Two Queens and Crystal Things. You guys, you all know, please continue to show us some love. Give us a review, although I don't think I haven't seen one, but give us a review anyway. And make sure to follow us on our IG page, which is Two Queens Crystal Things. Don't forget to follow us on our personal pages, because we are wanting to grow for our personal businesses too. Honestly, and I tell you this all the time, Mia is the truth. Like, I've gone to some readers and I was like, what? The hillbilly, what is that? She's like, honestly, so like, but no, you, like, I leave, like, my soul feels like what you were saying is right. Like I feel it. I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Trust in your intuition.
Trust, right.
Yes, trust in your
But
intuition.
I've had readings from other people, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's not it. But Mia, she is the truth. Follow her page. She's also an amazing Akashic record reader. She's also a Reiki practitioner, a sound healer, and she has her new modality that she recently launched, which I think that's huge. Is the dragonfly. So she can be
every time I swear I just got hand. Sorry guys.
She can be found at Wings Unleashed for and you guys can follow my page. You don't have to do all that stuff.
No, because sis just launched her business, if you guys have not known. So you can follow her personal page at Christie R. Edwards.
Thank you guys.
But She launched her new business, Sage House Apothecary, on IG, right?
Apothecary.
What did I just say?
Apothecary.
Wait, ooh.
It's okay.
Where's,
they know. Look, you know what she's trying to say.
Apothecary. I did it again.
It's okay.
Sage House Apothecary. Y'all know what I'm talking about. On IG, she has some beautiful pieces, you guys.
Thank you.
You have to check it out. Helping you guys on your journey, and I think she's doing a live. Will this have aired by then? Or
yes.
Are you doing it?
So I do the live tomorrow.
Okay. Well,
today's Wednesday.
It'll probably still be on the page, but she's doing a live to talk with a company about ethically sourcing sage. So sisters out here, we all growing and learning.
Sweet grass.
And she doesn't know that she's my free business coach as I'm trying to launch this.
Please, I'm happy to help. That's what I was telling her. I'm happy to help.
All right, you guys. Thank you for listening.